Hi everyone, my name's Lou Sims and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'd love it if you hit subscribe, notifications, like, comment, share, all the things that YouTube and most social media platforms want us all to do nowadays. Anyways, it's the start of a new month, which means a group of creatives get together and we put on a YouTube hop all around one theme. And the theme this month is winter. So we all go away and we put our own spin on everything, which means now you have a wonderful library of inspiration galore all around that one theme. Now, everyone taking part is listed below, so please do take the time to pop over and see them all. Now, I'm going to be working in my small Dina Wakley journal, and I'm going to create a background first with a mix of different stamps from my Shady Designs Festive Flora selection. Now, it's going to be probably a little bit tricky to see what I'm doing unless I've got a dirty stamp. But I'm just going to lay down a background using Versamark clear ink, and then I'm going to emboss those with white embossing powder. I prefer to stamp a few and then put the embossing powder on, and that way I can see where all my images are when I'm building up the background. Also, it means I don't take too long before the actual ink dries up. Once it's all heat set, I'm going to start building up a background using distress inks. I'm going to start with the lightest first, which is Salvaged Patina. And I'm going to do that softly. I'm not going for a perfect blend. It's just doing around the edges, the top edges of each of the stamped images. I'd like the centre part to be lighter. So I actually have a bit like a flash of light, I suppose, in the actual centre. So it's going to be darker around the edges. To add a little bit of extra detailing, I'm using my Shady Designs Pucker Up stencil, again with the Salvage Patina. I'm going to start building up with the darker shades, and the first shade I'm going to use, or distress inks I'm going to use, is Faded Denim. And then for a more deeper blue, I'm going to use Chipped Sapphire, and I'm going to put this in over the embossing areas and all around the edges of my journal. So now I've got that gradient of blue from dark to lighter. Once I've done the dark blue with the Chipped Sapphire, I'm going to go back in with Salvaged Patina just to blend out a little bit more of the edges in the inside. It just seems to tie everything in a little bit more if I use the lighter colour rather than go back over with a slightly darker colour. I simply had to do the water splat. I think using distress inks and not actually doing some form of water splatting, I don't know, seems like you're breaking the rules somewhere. After doing the water splatting, I've got out some Posca pens And I've gone for a blue and a purple, and I'm tapping them very, very lightly because I don't want big blobs now. I just want tiny little pockets of little bits of colour, first in the blue and then in the purple. Using my Winter Wishes background stamp and a Stays On pigment stamp, I'm going to build up the background. Now I've chosen this ink rather than an archival because it dries slightly quicker than an archival, and being completely opaque, it will work on top of the embossing powder. I won't be able to wipe it away, which gives me then another way of doing a little bit of layering. I've gone for a dark blue again, so it keeps in with the colour theme for the background that I've started with the Distress inks. I'm just going to gradually, we're using the same stamp set, keep building up. In that stamp set there are 2 other sentiment stamps, and I'm going to mix and match those in, and there's also a little snowflake stamp, and I'll use that as well just to extend the design. Once I've got everything down in the background, I'm going to put it to one side, and then it's going to be to start my next lot of stamping. Using my Shady Designs Festive Finery stamp set, I'm going to stamp again in Versamark Clear and use white embossing powder. And I'm going to build up lots of different background elements that I can add or collage onto my background. Then I'll cut them all out ready to be coloured. For the bauble image, I'm going to start with the Salvage Patina Distress ink, and I'm just going to do a wash over the whole of the image. And then I'll start adding a little bit of dark by first using the Faded Jeans and then bringing in the Chipped Sapphire. Not going to do overly complicated colouring on the bauble because I want it to stand out, but I also want it to blend in. I'm hoping that makes sense. I think it'll make more sense when we start adding these elements to the actual page. For the background sentiments that I stamped out, I'm using the salvage patina just to go over the whole of the embossing. I'm not sure if I'm going to use just the winter words or I'm going to use the other elements too. But I thought it's easier just to cover them all. Once I've done that, I'm going to trim them down, ready to use as panels. And then it's going to be just really taking all the different elements I've got and layering each up. I just felt it needed something else, so I'm going to use black soot and I'm going to create some shadows around. I was going to get out Uncharted Mariner to do the shadows, but I just think that might blend in a little too much, whereas using the black soot, it will blend in and give the illusion that there's a darker, deeper blue, but I'll also be able to create shadowing on layered images where I put images on top of each other. I'm using a very small paintbrush, and the reason I've chosen to do that is it means I can start off with a very small shadow, and then if I want to extend it, I can do so. But if I start smaller, it doesn't seem quite so daunting using the black outline. I am going to be that workman that does blame their own tools. My camera stopped filming, I'm not sure why, but it was at the part really where I was just taking the black soot distress ink and just going round the edges of certain parts of it and adding just a little bit of depth and shadow to the page. So that way certain things stood out and some things receded back. I have shown the page in the next clip closer up so you can see which parts look slightly darker than they were originally. So I went away and I carried on building up all the shadows around all the different areas, and then I quite liked putting some shadows in the words, and again I've done exactly the same and built up some more shadow work. and a little bit more shadows using the black soot. Right, I've added a few white obligatory splats, but I'm not 100% sure if it's finished. I don't know whether it's worth adding some glossy accents, you know, like where I've got the winter and maybe over the bauble itself, and then match this winter here, so there's a little bit of gloss there and there. But I'm just going to let it dry, and I'm going to leave it and see how it feels when it's dry, and I come back and look at it. Thank you ever so much for your time and company, and don't forget to visit all the other creatives taking part in the YouTube hop, and apologies for the little blip with the camera. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you all soon.